Hey y'all. So tonight I was thinking about what to share with you, and it was something I read a while back about the power of your own name. Doesn't matter what your name is; it's just your own name, and hearing your name and hearing it pronounced correctly. Apparently, there is a lot of power in this. It stimulates the medial prefrontal cortex of your brain, which is like the part of your brain right up here that makes it's responsible for your personality. It's what makes you you. Like people that have frontal lobe brain injuries, traumas, a lot of times their personalities are never quite the same, and it's because that's where your personality, is formed up here. So there's probably a reason that teachers and in groups and things like that, the very first thing people do is go around and introduce themselves and give people their name. And now that I think about it, it's probably super powerful for things like 12-step programs where you're like, hi, I'm Roger and I'm an alcoholic. What's the first thing they do? They in unison say, hello, Roger, or welcome, Roger, and they all repeat back that person's name. It's something called the cocktail effect. They called it the cocktail effect. It was one of the things they did where you can be in a super crowded room and someone can say your name all the way across the room and your ears perk up because you're like, oh God, I just heard my name. You could be in mid-conversation. There could be 1,000 conversations, but you will hear your name from across the room. And they actually did studies on patients that were in persistent vegetative states, which is like a coma, like a permanent coma, like patients who, that's where the term vegetable, it's a horrible term, do not ever use it, but a persistent vegetative state, meaning like they can't move, they can't speak, they're on a ventilator, a lot of times they cannot open their eyes, and based on their brainwave information, pretty much there's not much happening at all, which is incredibly sad. But what they found was using EEGs and stuff, and I don't know what else, if they use EEGs or memorize, or I don't know what they used. It was a study I read a while back. But when they spoke the patient's name, there was a momentary spike in the prefrontal cortex, the medial prefrontal cortex. Y'all, that's powerful stuff for a patient in a persistent vegetative state to have a spike in their brain activation when they're not responding to anything else, to hear their name. And it has something to do, it's called it's self something. It's the same thing as like seeing yourself in a mirror. I wrote it down. Self-representative behaviors, like seeing your own reflection in a mirror, or hearing descriptors of you, or like things that describe your personality. It has this, it's the same reaction when you hear your name, only more powerful. And so imagine if you can do that, if you can get a response like that out of someone in a persistent vegetative state. Imagine the power of using people's names to stimulate, encourage, support, praise. Like Miles, like tonight, he typed an entire paragraph, and this kid doesn't type. He's learning. It's painful for everyone. But not today. Today he was upbeat about it. He wrote his own, obviously did his own thing, but he typed the whole, now did he ask me a few times to help? Yes, he did, but I did not. Just so you know, whichever teacher assigned this. He typed the whole thing with his hands in the proper position. And I just kept saying, Miles, great job, Miles. Great job, Miles. And, come on, Ava, you can do it. Ava, you can do it. And when, screaming their names at basketball games, like I learn all the kids' names on both their teams so that I can yell for each kid every time they do something. Or even if they miss something, holler out, great job, Olivia, good try, or whatever. Because they hear their names and that encouragement. But turns out it's really, really important and really powerful. And then I started thinking, even when I talk to myself, y'all, I do. I think we all do. I know I do. I talk to myself. But I'll break something or forget something. And I'm like, great job, Tracy. Way to go, Tracy. Good job. Or come on, Tracy, get it together. You can do this. Tracy, come on. And And it's hilarious because nobody's there. I'm talking to myself, but apparently I'm listening to myself because I'm using my name. Apparently my brain knew it was powerful enough to go, come on, Tracy, get it together, rather than just like, get it together. But like, and also when you meet people, it makes a big difference when someone just says, all right, well, it was nice meeting you. And you're like, okay. Or if they say, it was so nice to meet you, Tracy. It was really nice to meet you, Tracy. I appreciate, whatever. You hear your name, it makes a big difference. A big difference. That's what, love him or hate him, Bill Clinton is known for that, remembering everyone's names. How? I don't know. But that was powerful and drew people to him, whether they liked him or not, because he could remember their names. I'm not getting into politics, y'all. But like, and like waiters and waitresses, I try and always, remember their name. Like, I'm Karen, I'm your waitress. I'm here to take your order. And then, later in the evening saying, hey, Karen, do you mind, bringing more water when you get a chance? Or, hey, Karen, can we get the check? Thank you, Karen. We really appreciate all your help tonight. That you see people's face change. You've seen them as a person now. You haven't just seen them. You have seen them, and they know it. And it's powerful. You can see people, like, their little personalities change. So I'm going to try and be more cognizant, because especially down south, y'all are lazy. People just down here, they're like, oh, I don't remember their names. The sweetie, honey, darling, sugar, hey girl, hey sweetie. And it's just pure it's not sweetness, it's pure laziness. It's because you just don't want to remember everybody's name. And because everybody talks to everybody down here, you can't possibly remember everyone's name, right? But I'm going to make an effort to use people's names more and silly things like that less often, because I think that's way less personal. Obviously, it may sound like it's sweet. It's really not, unless you're talking to your grandma or your mom or your kids. But otherwise, generally, it's because you're lazy. So anyway, the power of a name. There it is. Use people's names. You know how much, obviously, if you'll pay attention, you actually love the sound of hearing your own name, whether you like your name or not. Your brain enjoys hearing your name and responds to it. And that means other people are responding to the sound of their name. So make an effort, pronounce it correctly, use it to encourage, use it to praise, use it to support other people. I think you'll see a huge change. Oh, sorry about that. Y'all have a good night.